Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another horrible case with you. Have you ever heard of someone trying to take another person's life by shooting them, but by sheer luck, the victim survives? But then, after surviving, the victim ends up falling in love with the very person who tried to kill them. We don't know what such love should be called, but if a third person comes between this love, their life might be in danger. Today's story is a strange tale entangled in a love triangle. This story begins in the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. Due to its central location, Madhya Pradesh is also known as the Heart of India, and within this state lies a district called Dahar. In this district lived a girl named Pallavi Solanki. Since childhood, Pallavi had been more academically gifted than most of her schoolmates. However, along with excelling in her studies, she had also dreamed from a young age of joining the police force, maintaining law and order, protecting people, and taking on the responsibility of preventing and solving crimes. This is why, even after joining college, Pallavi continued preparing for police recruitment exams alongside her studies. Moreover, she was physically fit, which was another requirement for joining the Madhya Pradesh police. As a result, in 2018, Pallavi applied for the Madhya Pradesh police and took the exam in August. Pallavi was confident that she would be selected, and 2 months later, when the results were announced, she was indeed recruited as a constable in the Madhya Pradesh police. The constable is the lowest rank in the Indian police force, and officers at this level are responsible for maintaining law and order, arresting criminals, and controlling traffic. However, a year after Pallavi started her job, her family began searching for a well-settled groom for her marriage. Their efforts bore fruit at the beginning of 2020 when they found a suitable match for Pallavi. Afterward, Pallavi was introduced to the young man, and after spending some time talking to him, she agreed to the marriage. Her entire family was overjoyed by this decision, and by December 2020, the wedding was fixed. However, things were not going to proceed so smoothly. Near Pallavi's house lived a young man named Karan Thakur. Karan was one of those lovers who harbors one-sided feelings for someone over a long period without ever expressing them. There are many such lovers worldwide who fall in love with someone but never muster the courage to confess their feelings. So now, Karan was also in one-sided love with Pallavi, but he never expressed his feelings to her. However, when Karan found out that Pallavi's marriage had been arranged, he couldn't bear it. Since Karan and Pallavi lived near each other one day, gathering some courage, Karan finally confessed his feelings to her. But Pallavi told him, "It's too late now because my wedding is already fixed, and we have even printed the wedding invitations. If you had told me 1 or 2 years ago, maybe I could have thought about it. But now my family has decided this marriage, so there's nothing that can happen between us." Hearing this from Pallavi left Karan deeply troubled because the love of his life was about to marry someone else. Meanwhile, Pallavi's wedding invitations had been printed, and as per tradition, she went to offer the first invitation at a temple near her home. In many Hindu families in India, it is customary to offer the first wedding card at a temple, believing that by doing so, the bride or groom receives the blessings of the deity for a prosperous married life. Somehow, Karan also found out about this. It was December 2nd, 2020, and on this day, Pallavi, along with her family, drove to a temple in their village. At the same time, Karan took his bike from home and rode straight to the temple, waiting outside. Inside, Pallavi and her family spent some time sitting and talking to the priest about the wedding rituals. But as they were walking back to their car, Karan got off his bike and moved dangerously close to Pallavi. He then pulled out a gun, and before Pallavi or her family could react, he shot her. The bullet hit Pallavi in the neck, and she collapsed to the ground before anyone could even grasp what had just happened. But before anyone could stop him, Karan turned the gun on himself and shot himself in the chest. At the time of the shooting, many people were passing by the temple road, and several eyewitnesses saw the horrifying incident unfold before their eyes. Shocked, Pallavi's family quickly placed her in their car and rushed her to the nearest hospital. Meanwhile, a passerby also took Karen to the same hospital where Pallavi was admitted. Fortunately, both of them received medical attention in time and survived. The doctor stated that both were lucky to have survived such severe injuries. Pallavi, however, recovered faster than Karen and was discharged from the hospital sooner. But on the other hand, as soon as Karen recovered, the police arrested him right from the hospital. After that, the police presented Karen in court, and since he had fired a shot at Pallavi in broad daylight, many people testified against him in court. Because of this, Karen was soon sent to jail for attempted murder. During this time, Karen told the police the whole story and also revealed that he shot Pallavi because he couldn't bear to see her with another man. After that, he shot himself in the chest, believing that if Pallavi didn't survive, then there was no point in him staying alive either. But perhaps fate had other plans because, despite being shot once in the neck and once in the chest, both of them survived. However, this incident brought a major change in both their lives. While Karen was behind bars, Pallavi's wedding was called off after the incident. The groom's family believed that if Pallavi's lover could try to kill her before marriage, who knew what extreme steps he might take after it. Nevertheless, since Pallavi was a strong woman, she moved on quickly from the incident and the broken engagement. In fact, once she recovered, she returned to work in mid-2021, this time posted in another town in Madhya Pradesh called Biaura. There, Pallavi was allotted a room in a government police quarter where she started living alone and rarely visited her home anymore. Time passed and soon it was 2022. Around this time, a new sub-inspector named Dipankar Gautam was transferred to the town where Pallavi was posted. Before moving forward, let's understand that a sub-inspector holds a mid-level rank in the Indian police force. In rural areas, they serve as station in-charges and also manage certain police outposts. Now, Dipankar Gautam's story was that, much like Pallavi, he was highly intelligent and academically inclined. At the beginning of his career, Dipankar first cleared the state-level teacher eligibility test and became a government teacher. This achievement boosted Dipankar's confidence even further, and while working as a teacher, he began preparing to become a police officer. Eventually, he cleared the exam and became a sub-inspector. However, even after this, he started preparing for the Union Public Service Commission exam, considered one of the toughest exams in India, in hopes of becoming an IPS officer. To give some context, the Indian Police Service is one of the 3 most prestigious civil services in India. IPS officers provide senior-level leadership to the police forces at both state and central levels. Meanwhile, during this period, Dipankar met a woman who was a teacher in Uttar Pradesh, a neighboring state of Madhya Pradesh. The two quickly became good friends, and by 2021, Dipankar married her. But just a few months after Dipankar's wedding, in 2022, he was transferred to Biaura town in Madhya Pradesh, while his wife remained in Dipankar's actual home in Uttar Pradesh. However, after being transferred to Biaura, Dipankar Gautam met Pallavi Solanki, and the two became good friends. Even though a sub-inspector holds a much higher rank than a constable in the police force, Dipankar Gautam still gave Pallavi a lot of importance. Over time, their friendship gradually turned into love, and they even started visiting each other's government quarters. For over a year, Dipankar and Pallavi grew close, and during this time they met in private on multiple occasions. Everything was going smoothly until 2023 arrived, and that year, after serving nearly 3 years in prison, Karan Thakur was released on bail. In fact, his behavior in jail had been excellent. He completed every daily task on time, and everyone in the prison spoke highly of him. Because of this, he applied for bail in court, and seeing his good conduct, the court finally granted it. But now that he was out of jail, the first person Karan searched for was Pallavi. After some effort, he eventually found out about Pallavi's current posting. Karan then traveled nearly 180 miles to reach Pallavi. When he met her, he told her, "I shot you because I love you and I couldn't bear to see you marry someone else. When your wedding was fixed and the invitations were printed, I felt that if you couldn't be mine, you shouldn't belong to anyone else either. That's why I shot you. And after that, I shot myself because I couldn't live without you." Karan then unbuttoned his shirt to show Pallavi his chest, where he had shot himself. But right next to the bullet wound, he had also tattooed Pallavi's name. Hearing all this and seeing her name tattooed on Karan's chest, Pallavi felt that he truly loved her. However, her life had changed completely. Before her wedding was arranged, she had never been in a relationship with any man. But now, with Karan out of jail, Dipankar Gautam was already in her life, and over the past year they had spent a lot of time together. Yet, after hearing Karan's story, Pallavi started falling for him again. That's why she began giving Karan attention. Since Pallavi lived in a government quarter, she even started inviting Karan to her room on multiple occasions. But many times, whenever the two of them were together, Pallavi would receive a call from Sub-Inspector Dipankar. Because of this, Karan gradually came to know that Pallavi was in contact with a police officer named Dipankar Gautam. At first, Karan tolerated Dipankar Gautam's calls, but after a while he started feeling that Dipankar was coming between him and Pallavi's love. Karan first asked Pallavi who this Dipankar Gautam was, to which Pallavi tried to explain that Dipankar was her senior and that they were just normal friends. However, even after hearing this, the seed of doubt in Karan's mind did not go away, and so he started spying on Pallavi. On the other hand, Pallavi was also well aware that Karan was the person who had shot her to stop her wedding, which meant he was capable of doing anything to have her. After thinking about it for a while, Pallavi decided that since Sub-Inspector Dipankar Gautam was already married, she might as well spend the rest of her life with Karan. But there was a problem. Over the past year, Dipankar and Pallavi had shared many good moments together. During this time, Dipankar had also invested a lot of time and emotions into their relationship. So now, Pallavi needed a solid excuse to break things off with Dipankar Gautam. After this, Pallavi assured Karan, "I want to marry you and spend the rest of my life with you. But in the past year, while you were in jail, I got really close to Sub-Inspector Dipankar Gautam. That's why I'm afraid that he might misuse his position and power to get me fired from my job." Hearing this, Karan told Pallavi, "All right, then arrange a meeting with him and I'll talk to him myself." Pallavi then told Dipankar one day, "I have a friend named Karan and he wants to meet you to discuss something." Upon hearing this, Dipankar asked Pallavi, "Who is this Karan and what does he want to talk to me about?" To this, Pallavi responded, "I'll tell you when we meet." But Dipankar replied, "I'm a bit busy right now. Once I'm free, I'll let you know and then you can finalize our meeting." Since Dipankar Gautam was also a sub-inspector, he was quite sharp, and due to his experience in the field, he had already found out that Karan had deeply loved Pallavi a few years ago. He even discovered that when Pallavi's marriage had been arranged with another man, Karan had shot her. Because of this, Karan had spent a few years in jail and had now been released. This made Dipankar realize that if Karan could shoot Pallavi just to stop her from marrying someone else, he could also harm him. Time passed and Pallavi repeatedly asked Dipankar to meet Karan, but each time Dipankar made some excuse to avoid the meeting. But in the end, Dipankar also agrees to meet Karan. However, he still had the fear that Karan, along with Pallavi, might pose a threat to his life. Anyway, the three of them set a meeting date for September 10th, 2024. But before that, Dipankar called his colleague, Sub-Inspector Subhash Dwivedi, and shared his concerns, asking him to be present at the location. On September 10th, around 12:30 p.m., Dipankar Gautam arrived at the designated location on his motorcycle. What happened next was nothing short of a dramatic scene. When Dipankar arrived, he saw Pallavi and her boyfriend Karan sitting inside a car. As soon as they spotted him, both stepped out of the vehicle and Pallavi introduced Karan to Dipankar. She then told him, "We love each other, so please don't interfere in our lives anymore." Karan also spoke up, saying, "I know you're a police officer, but if you try to come between us, I will kill you." Adding to this, Karan continued, "I had already shot Pallavi myself, thinking that if she couldn't be mine, she wouldn't belong to anyone else either. After that, I even tried to take my own life. If I can kill myself, then you are nothing to me." Dipankar listened to all of this calmly because, in a way, he too felt like a heartbroken lover who had been betrayed. After all, he and Pallavi had been together for over a year. Their conversation eventually came to an end, but during this entire exchange, Dipankar Gautam's colleague, Subhash, couldn't make it to the scene due to an urgent task. However, Dipankar expressed his silent displeasure toward Pallavi and safely left the place. Just as he started his motorcycle and rode away, Pallavi and Karan got back into their car. They exchanged glances, and then Karan steered his car onto the same road Dipankar was taking. Midway, they suddenly spotted Dipankar's motorcycle, and upon seeing him, Karan accelerated his car. At that moment, their car was speeding down the highway at nearly 70 miles per hour. Out of nowhere, Karan rammed his car into Dipankar's motorcycle. The impact sent Dipankar's bike flying through the air before crashing near a gas station. Dipankar himself was thrown onto the hood of Karan's car, and Karan continued dragging him for almost 30 meters. Eventually, Dipankar lost consciousness and collapsed onto the highway, while Karan sped away from the scene. Coincidentally, there was a gas station at the location of the accident, equipped with a CCTV camera. The entire incident was captured on video. The accident occurred at around 1:10 p.m., and 20 minutes later, at 1:30 p.m., Karan, following Pallavi's instructions, drove their car to a police station in the area and stopped outside. The front part of the car had a deep dent due to the accident. After arriving at the police station, both Karan and Pallavi got out of the car. Pallavi then approached a police officer, introduced herself, and said, "I am a lady constable in Madhya Pradesh Police." While passing through the highway, a motorcyclist suddenly came in front of our car. At that moment, we lost control of our vehicle, which resulted in a collision with the motorcyclist. Since I am a lady constable, I have come to file a complaint with the police first, so that they can take immediate action on this matter. As soon as the police heard this, some officers from the station rushed to the accident site. However, upon reaching the location, they learned from a few employees of a nearby gas station that some bystanders had seen the accident and, realizing that the motorcycle belonged to a police officer, took the injured person to a nearby hospital in their vehicle. When the police arrived at the hospital, the doctors informed them that the patient's condition was critical, so they referred Dipankar Gautam to a larger hospital in Bhopal, the capital of Madhya Pradesh. Unfortunately, on the way to Bhopal, Sub-Inspector Dipankar Gautam succumbed to his injuries. News of his death soon reached senior officers in Biaura town, making them suspect foul play in the case. Around the same time, they also learned that a female constable from the Madhya Pradesh police, Pallavi Solanki, had taken responsibility for the accident. However, when the police checked CCTV footage from the area, they also reviewed footage from the nearby gas station. What they saw made it clear that the accident was not unintentional. The police noticed that in such incidents, people usually try to stop their vehicle, but in this case, Karan and Pallavi made no attempt to do so. This was the first time the police doubted Pallavi's statement, prompting them to conduct a discreet investigation. During this probe, they uncovered the 2020 shooting incident, Karan's deep affection for Pallavi, his time in jail, and Pallavi's relationship with Sub-Inspector Dipankar. Once the police gathered all this information, they immediately arrested Pallavi Solanki and her boyfriend, Karan Thakur, and brought them to the police station for questioning. The interrogation lasted all night, and eventually Pallavi broke down. She confessed that she and Karan had deliberately rammed their car into Dipankar Gautam's motorcycle to kill him. She then revealed the entire story of her love affair to the police, leaving them stunned. The most tragic aspect of this case was that a love triangle involving a female police constable had led to the death of a sub-inspector. Now, both Pallavi and her boyfriend Karan are behind bars. At the time, Karan was already facing legal charges and had previously spent nearly 3 years in jail because of another case. Even after shooting Pallavi once, he was unable to be with her. Although he was with Pallavi shortly before Dipankar's murder, it seems unlikely that he will ever reunite with his love after taking Dipankar Gautam's life. So with that, the police officer Dipankar Gautam murder case comes to an end right here. If you appreciate our efforts, like and share this video. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another horrible case with you. If we meet a new person in the beginning, we enjoy getting to know them, talking to them and spending time together. Sometimes these connections become so deep that it becomes incredibly difficult to let go of that person. But in today's case, an illicit relationship doesn't just take one but 2 lives, and as a result, dozens of lives are ruined. The date was May 22nd, 1999. On this day, in a house in New York City, USA, Mahek Bukhari was born. From childhood, Mahek was incredibly beautiful, lively, and had a charming way of speaking. Her father, Raza Ali, and mother, Ansreen, loved her deeply. This small family was happy in their lives, but when Mahek was just 3 years old, they moved to England. They settled in a city called Stoke-on-Trent and specifically lived in a town named Tunstall. After moving here, a new member joined their family, Mahek's younger brother, Arman Ali. Although we don't have many details about Mahek's childhood, one thing is certain. She had an interest in fashion and design from an early age. During her childhood, Bratz dolls were extremely popular among kids, especially girls. These dolls were quite different from Barbie dolls because they had thick makeup, intoxicating eyes, big lips, and small bodies. Their outfits also stood apart from Barbie's traditional, classy look, making Bratz dolls a style icon for many girls. Mahek also loved these dolls, and this is what sparked her early interest in fashion. After completing her schooling, when Mahek had to choose a university, she selected Manchester Metropolitan University and enrolled in the fashion design program. While studying at university in 2018, Mahek created accounts on social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Initially, she focused more on YouTube, where she started posting about her daily life. Sometimes she would vlog about traveling to Turkey with her parents, and occasionally she would upload content related to fashion and beauty. Soon her followers grew rapidly, and before long she decided to drop out of college and dedicate her full attention to social media. By that time, Mahek had built a massive fan following not just on YouTube, but also on TikTok. In some TikTok videos, she would be seen dancing with her brother, while in others, she and her mother would replicate various TikTok trends. Then came a time when her TikTok account started growing rapidly because a few of her videos went viral. After that, every video she posted began receiving millions of views, and as a result, Mahek started earning a significant amount of money online. During this period, she landed several brand deals, and as she climbed the ladder of success, She even started getting paid to attend the openings of various bars and clubs. Everything in Mahek's life was going great, and besides, she and her mother spent most of their time together. So, when Mahek started making good money, the mother-daughter duo would go out to bars or clubs together every night. However, Mahek had no idea that this seemingly normal routine would completely change her life. While making TikTok videos, Mahek realized that any video featuring her mother, Ansreen, would get more views, likes, and comments. The reason was that 40-year-old Ansreen maintained herself well, and on top of that, she had gotten married at a very young age. Because of this, Mahek was born early, which meant that there wasn't a significant age gap between the two. Ansreen was actually born in Pakistan, and since childhood, she had dreamed of becoming a flight attendant. However, her parents were quite conservative, so they never accepted her dream and were unwilling to educate her further. In fact, she was married off at the age of 21 and gave birth to Mahek when she was 22. A few years later, she had a son, and from the moment she got married, she devoted herself to the roles of a housewife and a mother, letting go of her own aspirations. But now, through her daughter Mahek, she was finally experiencing a luxurious lifestyle. Mahek and Ansreen made videos together, went clubbing, and partied as a team. Mahek once said, "Ansreen is not just my mother, but also my best friend. I feel like our relationship is less like mother and daughter and more like two real sisters." However, as she became more involved in the party scene, Ansreen's personality started changing. She was no longer the responsible housewife. Instead, she was transforming into a free-spirited and carefree woman. She felt as if God had given her a second chance to relive her youth. After all, she had spent her younger years raising children, and now she was gradually aging. Eventually, Ansreen even created her own Instagram and TikTok accounts. Then, one day in 2019, Ansreen's niece visited their home and opened the Azar app on her phone. Azar is actually an app that serves as a leading global video chat platform, instantly connecting people with new acquaintances. On this very app, Ansreen's niece started chatting with a stranger, and during their conversation, she casually mentioned that she was visiting her cousin sister, Mahek Bukhari. In response, the boy on the other end asked, "Are you talking about the same Mahek Bukhari who is famous on TikTok under the name Maybe?" Hearing this, Ansreen's niece was delighted and told the boy on the video chat, "I can't introduce you to Mahek because she's not home right now, but I can introduce you to her mother, Ansreen." She then handed her phone to Ansreen, and the boy introduced himself as Saqib Hussain, mentioning that he was 27 years old. Ansreen and Saqib spoke for a few minutes, during which Saqib revealed that he also lived in the UK. In fact, Saqib's home was in a town called Banbury, about 98 miles from Tunstall, where Ansreen lived. Their conversation was pleasant, and as soon as the call ended, Saqib followed Ansreen on Instagram. However, when Ansreen later opened Instagram and checked her messages, she was shocked to see a flood of messages, all from Saqib Hussain. Since they had a good conversation and Ansreen also enjoyed talking to Saqib, she couldn't bring herself to ignore his messages. From this point, their daily conversations began. Within the first week, they had exchanged numbers, and soon most of their conversations took place over calls. However, the surprising part was that Ansreen was a married woman, happily living with her husband, Raza Ali, and their 2 children. At this point, she should have ignored Saqib Hussain's messages, but perhaps she enjoyed the attention from the handsome, tall, and young Saqib, which is why she couldn't resist. Eventually, their conversations also transitioned into video chats as they became a part of each other's daily lives. Whenever Ansreen was home alone, she would chat with Saqib Hussain over video calls while doing laundry, cooking, or washing dishes. While she cleverly hid this relationship from her husband and son, her daughter Mahek, who spent a lot of time with Ansreen, had already sensed that her mother was secretly talking to someone. In fact, there was even a time when Mahek saw Saqib's face on a video call. When she asked her mother who he was, Ansreen lied, saying, "He's just a normal friend, and we are only friends." While Ansreen wanted to keep this relationship hidden from her family and continue it in secret, she also began meeting Saqib discreetly in hotel rooms in London and Birmingham. There were even times when their physical relationship took place at Ansreen's home, specifically when no one else was around. From the very beginning of this relationship, one thing was certain: Saqib was far more invested in it. On the other hand, Ansreen was already married. She had a home, a good husband, and 2 children. To her, Saqib was nothing more than a side fling. While Ansreen was just passing the time with him, Saqib believed it to be true love. Perhaps the biggest reason behind this was their age difference. In their initial conversations, Saqib had claimed to be 27 years old, but he was lying. In reality, he was only 18, and Ansreen was probably the first woman in his life to give him that much attention. Because of this, Saqib would send gifts to Ansreen's house and occasionally order her favorite food through Uber Eats. Saqib was so deeply obsessed with Ansreen that whenever he found out she was at a bar or club with her daughter, Mahek, he would show up and watch Ansreen dance. He even went as far as paying their bill at the end of the night. This also revealed that Saqib did not come from an ordinary family. His family was wealthy and never thought twice before giving him money. At this point, Saqib was willing to do anything for his girlfriend, Ansreen. But after 2 years of this affair in 2021, Ansreen started thinking about breaking up with him. By then, Ansreen had grown tired of meeting Saqib in secret and often felt stressed about their affair. She was terrified that someone might find out about it. When she finally confronted Saqib about ending things, he panicked like a child and begged her to reconsider. However, Ansreen didn't respond to him and carried on as if nothing had happened for a few days. But Saqib became increasingly obsessed with her. He wanted to know where she was at all times, who she was with, and what she was doing. He repeatedly forced her to share her location, and fed up with this behavior, Ansreen eventually cut off all contact with him. She stopped answering his calls and didn't even read his messages. But one day in December 2021, while Mahek was doing a live session with her mother, Ansreen, Saqib suddenly appeared in the chat. He typed, "Tell your mom to call me." Ansreen saw the message and told her daughter to ignore it. However, a few minutes later, she left the live session and went to the bathroom, where she called Saqib and said, "That's enough. After what you did today, there is nothing left between us. Get out of my life and my family's life." With that, she hung up the phone and was about to block him, but just a few seconds before she could do so, Saqib started bombarding her phone with video after video and photo after photo. In reality, these were private pictures and videos that Saqib had secretly taken of Ansreen during their hotel meetups and video chats. By sending these files, Saqib threatened his girlfriend, Ansreen, saying, "If you break up with me, I will send these dirty pictures to your husband." Reading this message, Ansreen felt as if the ground had slipped from under her feet. She started thinking that if her husband and society found out about this relationship, she would have no face left to show anyone. Her husband would leave her, and on top of that, she would have to endure the humiliation in front of the public and her community. For several days, Ansreen was extremely distressed, and during that entire period, she didn't even go out anywhere with her daughter. During this time, Saqib, in his anger, sent multiple messages to Ansreen asking, "Should I upload these pictures on Twitter or should I send them to your daughter?" By this point, Saqib had become completely obsessed with Ansreen, and he also felt that she had wasted his time and money. He even sent a text message to Ansreen saying, "At least return the money I spent on you. I must have wasted at least £3,000 on you. If you convert £3,000 from the United Kingdom into American dollars today, it amounts to approximately $3,800. Hearing this, Ansreen became even more terrified because the situation had now escalated to blackmail. Now, the stress on Ansreen's mind had increased significantly, and because of this, she decided to confide in her daughter, Mahek. However, upon hearing this, Mahek became extremely angry because her mother had been deceiving the entire family for the past 2 years. But after calming down, Mahek revealed something equally disturbing to her mother, that for the past few days, an anonymous person had been uploading inappropriate videos on the internet under her name. These were actually X-rated videos where the body belonged to another girl, but the face was Mahek's. With the help of artificial intelligence technology, it is possible to take anyone's voice and face and create any kind of video. Such photos or videos are made using deepfake technology, which has often been used to defame individuals or spread misinformation. After hearing everything her mother said, Mahek expressed concern, saying, "Mom, I think Saqib is the one making these videos of me. And I also feel that now he might try to ruin our entire family's reputation as revenge against you." Hearing this, Ansreen felt deeply hurt, realizing what her family was going through because of her one bad decision. Because of this, mother and daughter decided that Saqib Hussein would have to be taught such a lesson that he would never dare to make such a mistake again. Then, one day in February 2022, Mahek sent a message to her mother on WhatsApp that read, "I'll soon get him jumped by guys, and he won't know what day it is." One day after this, Ansreen called her boyfriend, Saqib, and said, "I'm ready to give you £3,000. To collect the money, come to the Tesco supermarket parking lot in Leicester on February 11th. Unfortunately, Saqib agreed to meet his girlfriend, Ansreen, at the location she mentioned that day. In fact, this time Saqib even convinced his friend, Hashim Ijazuddin, to accompany him. However, Hashim Ijazuddin knew nothing about his friend Saqib's affair or the blackmail. He was just going along with his friend. This meant that Hashim had absolutely nothing to do with the entire matter. But on the other hand, Mahek Bukhari was fully prepared to teach her mother's boyfriend, Saqib Hussein, a lesson. Mahek contacted her car mechanic friend, Rakan Karwan, and asked him to bring along some friends to beat up Saqib. According to CCTV footage, Saqib and Hashim arrived at Tesco's parking lot at 1:17 a.m. on February 11th, 2022, in Hashim's car. Meanwhile, Mahek's friend, Rakan Karwan, arrived with his best friend, Rais Jamal, Rais's cousin, Amir Jamal, and friends Natasha Akhtar, Sanaf Gulum Mustafa, and Mohammed Patel. Their plan was that the men would beat up Saqib while the women would snatch his phone and delete the photos and videos from it. The men sitting in the car at the parking lot had their faces covered with black balaclavas, and they also had a tire iron to attack Saqib. However, in the CCTV footage, Hashim's silver Skoda Fabia stopped in the parking lot for only a few seconds. Saqib, who was sitting in the passenger seat, noticed that Ansreen and Mahek were not alone. Instead, they were accompanied by 2 cars filled with passengers. The blue seat Leon was driven by Rais, while the Audi TT was driven by Rakan, with Mahek and Ansreen sitting inside the Audi. Seeing this, Saqib became scared and immediately told his friend Hashim to drive away as fast as possible, but both cars started chasing them. When Saqib realized they were being followed, he immediately dialed 999 to contact the police. The call lasted about 5 minutes, during which Saqib grew increasingly panicked with every passing moment. In an attempt to save their lives, they even ran a red light. Still, all 3 cars sped down the A46 route at 100 miles per hour. As per the victim's family's wishes, Saqib's 999 call recording was not made public, but its transcript is available. Saqib reported that 2 cars were chasing him, and the men inside were wearing black balaclavas. They were ramming into Saqib's car from behind and trying to force them off the road. While talking to the operator on the emergency number, Saqib, in a panic-stricken voice, said, "They're trying to kill me. I'm going to die. Please, I just need help. They're ramming our car from behind. Please, I'm begging you for my life. I'm going to die." But the last thing 199 operator heard from Saqib was, "Oh my God." After saying this, Saqib's phone got disconnected because their car crashed into a tree on the side of the highway, splitting into two pieces and bursting into flames. Coincidentally, just a few minutes later, a tow truck driver was passing by the A46 highway, and upon seeing the burning car, he immediately informed the police. Around 10 minutes after the police were called, at approximately 1:40 a.m., police officers and fire trucks arrived at the scene. By that time, Hashim's car was split into two, and high flames were raging in the darkness of the night. After extinguishing the fire, officers discovered that 21-year-old Saqib Hussain and 21-year-old Hashim Iyazuddin had died, and their bodies were severely burned. The police then took immediate action, first checking the highway's CCTV footage. The cameras were equipped with an automatic number plate recognition system. Using the number plates of the two vehicles involved in the conspiracy, the police tracked them down. The first car they stopped was a blue Seat Leon, driven by Natasha Akhtar. The officers arrested Natasha Akhtar on the spot. Additionally, some nearby CCTV footage showed the other individuals in the car walking normally along the street. In reality, they were all making their way back home on foot. However, at 8 a.m. on February 11th, the police knocked on Ansreen's door, where her husband, Raza Ali, answered. Raza Ali was shocked to see the police, and when they told him they were there to question his wife and daughter, he became even more surprised. When the police questioned Mahek about the car crash, she lied and said, "We don't know anything about this accident because we were at an event in Nottingham." However, when the police verified Mahek's claims, they found that there had been no such event in Nottingham that night. Because of this, the police arrested Mahek and her mother, Ansreen, and took them to the Leicester police station for interrogation. During questioning, Mahek and Ansreen told countless lies. At first, Mahek insisted that she was not in the car that was chasing Saqib. But after hours of interrogation, she admitted that they were indeed following Saqib's car, but only to stop him and have a calm conversation. Nothing more. On the other hand, during questioning, Ansreen completely denied ever having an affair with Saqib. But detectives had already accessed Saqib Hussain's iCloud account and reviewed all the videos and pictures. They even found numerous text messages between Ansreen and Saqib, in which Saqib was demanding his £3,000 back. Additionally, while interrogating Natasha Akhtar, detectives learned the names of all the criminals involved and successfully arrested them. However, everyone kept lying to save themselves. Amidst all this, Mohammed Patel decided to help the police and revealed the entire story. He stated that Mahek had never told them about Ansreen and Saqib's affair. Instead, she claimed that a thug named Saqib Hussain was creating X-rated deepfake videos of her and uploading them on the internet. Moreover, during the interrogation, Mohammed Patel also disclosed that when Hashim's car caught fire, none of them called 999 to help him. After taking statements from all the criminals, the trial began at Leicester Crown Court on August 4th, 2023. Mahek and her mother, Ansreen, were seen entering the courtroom, both well-dressed and wearing full makeup. In fact, several people even noticed them laughing loudly. During the hearing, Judge Timothy Spencer stated, Saqib Hussain and Hashim Iyazuddin were brutally trapped. First, Saqib Hussain was lured to a deserted location with the promise of money, then chased at high speed. Ultimately, he was pushed to his death, and when their car crashed instead of helping them, everyone focused on saving themselves. During the court hearing, the judge even told Mahek, TikTok has ruined you. You think you are special, but your fame is hollow. You became self-obsessed and had no concern for how your actions were affecting others. He also turned to Ansreen and said, "You were the eldest in this group and you should have made wiser decisions." The court took 28 hours to reach a final verdict. Eventually, they found Mehek Bukhari and her mother, Ansreen, guilty of double murder. Upon hearing the verdict, Mehek broke down in tears. Additionally, 46-year-old Ansreen was sentenced to 26 years and 9 months. 24-year-old Mehek Bukhari received 31 years and 8 months. 23-year-old Rais Jamal was sentenced to 36 years. His 28-year-old brother, Amir Jamal, to 14 years and 8 months. 29-year-old Rakan Karwan to 26 years and 10 months. 23-year-old Natasha Akhtar to 11 years and 8 months. And 23-year-old Sanaf Gula Mustafa to 14 years and 9 months in prison. Detective Inspector Mark Parrish stated that Hashim Yazuddin had nothing to do with this case. He further mentioned, "I had the chance to meet Saqib Hussein's family, and they are truly good people. After speaking with them, I was convinced that if Ansreen and Mehek Bukhari had simply talked to Saqib's family, they would have scolded him and made him stop his actions, and Saqib would have likely listened. Alternatively, Ansreen and Mehek could have gone straight to the police station and filed a report against Saqib, which might have resolved the matter then and there. But instead, the mother and daughter took the law into their own hands, ruining not only their lives, but also those of many others." So with that, the Saqib Hussein and Hashim Yazuddin case comes to an end right here. If you appreciate our efforts, like and share this video. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another horrible case with you. It was the morning of April 28th, 2018, near a dam close to Mumbai. A man called the police and reported that a dead body was lying near the dam. Upon hearing this, the police rushed to the scene. When they arrived, they found a body, but the face was unrecognizable. While inspecting the area, the police discovered that the person had died from a gunshot wound and had severe head injuries. The police searched the body and checked the victim's clothes for identification, but found no ID proof or wallet, making it impossible to identify him. They sent the body to the hospital for further examination and started investigating the crime scene. At the location where the body was found, the police discovered 2 empty bullet shells. Upon closer inspection, they realized that both were blank cartridges. This puzzled them. How could a real murder be committed with fake bullets? The only way to find out the truth was through the post-mortem report. Once the autopsy was completed, the report confirmed that the cause of death was a gunshot wound. A real bullet was found lodged inside the body, and the bullet that hit the victim's head was also real. Additionally, the pistol used to fire the bullet was confirmed to be genuine. For the police, the situation was quite strange. At the crime scene, they found 2 fake bullets, yet the victim had been shot with a real bullet. Not only that, but a real bullet was also recovered from the victim's body. So why would the murderer leave fake bullets behind? The crime scene itself suggested that the truth would inevitably come out during the post-mortem. It wasn't something that could remain hidden forever. This raised the question, what was the connection between the fake bullets and the real one? With this mystery in mind, the police launched an investigation. However, the crime scene did not provide any clues about the victim's identity, who he was, where he came from, or why he was there. The police also checked some nearby CCTV cameras, but they didn't find anything useful. Typically, in such cases, the police don't keep unidentified bodies for long. They take photographs, document all possible details, such as cause of death, height, weight, complexion, and then proceed with the final rites. The crime took place in Navi Mumbai. Some officers speculated that this could turn into a high-profile case because the victim appeared well off. He was well dressed and looked to be between 23 and 27 years old. For this reason, the police decided not to cremate the body immediately. Instead, they kept it in the morgue, stating that the last rites would only be performed once the victim's identity was established, his name, background, and any form of identification. The police intensified their investigation, questioning people in the surrounding areas, but no evidence or leads emerged. The body was in such a condition that calling people to identify it seemed futile. Days turned into weeks and 20 days passed, yet the case remained at a standstill. Forget the murderer or the motive, even the victim's identity was still unknown. During those 20 days, coincidentally, the Commissioner of Navi Mumbai formed different teams to solve this case. As part of this effort, an officer from Navi Mumbai traveled to Pune for some work. After completing his work while returning, he noticed something at a station a little ahead of Pune. At that station, he saw various posters displayed, similar to the advertisements found in crowded railway stations. Ads for brands, restaurants, hotels, and clothing stores. Among these, one particular poster caught his attention. It was a missing person notice about a young man. When he looked closely at the poster, he felt that the face seemed familiar. After thinking for a moment, he recalled a case that had come to them 20 days ago. In that case, the deceased person's face was unrecognizable, but the missing young man in the poster bore a strong resemblance in overall appearance. This made him think that it might be the same person. Even though the face was unidentifiable, the rest of the body structure closely resembled the corpse they had found. He quickly took a picture of the missing person's poster and returned to his jurisdiction. Upon reaching the police station, he informed his senior officers about his observation, that while returning from Pune, he had stopped at a station where he saw a missing persons poster with a photo of a young man. The resemblance between the missing man and the unidentified corpse they had found earlier was striking. Although they could not confirm the face, the body structure matched significantly. The officers then took the picture and compared it to the body stored in the morgue. They examined the corpse's hair, hands, and other body features. The police suspected that this man might be the same person whose body they had found, the missing person. The good thing was that a phone number was written below the post, so the police officers decided to try calling the number. When they dialed the number, someone answered the call. The police then asked, "Who is speaking? What is your name?" The person on the other end replied, "My name is Aniket. Who is this?" The police officer then said, "You had posted about a missing person." Aniket responded, "Yes, my brother is missing. His name is Onkar Kundan." As soon as Aniket mentioned his missing brother, the police asked about his age. Aniket replied, he was 25 years old. The police then asked, "Since when has he been missing?" Aniket said, "He went missing on April 27, 2018. This raised suspicion among the police because they had found a dead body on April 28th, just one day after Onkar went missing. So they asked Aniket, "Did you file a missing person report?" Aniket confirmed, "Yes, my sister-in-law filed the report." The police then asked, "Who is your sister-in-law?" Aniket replied, "My brother Onkar was married. His wife's name is Sudha, and she filed the missing person report." The police then instructed Aniket and Sudha to come to the police station, but did not reveal that they needed to identify a dead body. They simply asked them to visit the station. When Aniket and Sudha arrived at the police station, the officers took them to the morgue. Upon seeing the body, both Onkar's brother and his wife recognized him instantly and broke down in tears. For the police, it was at least something that after so many days of effort, they now had one crucial piece of information. They now knew who was the victim, what his name was, who he was, where he was from. Everything. And now, with this information, they could easily find out who the killer might be. Then the police asked his family about Onkar's occupation. His family replied that he worked in a good company, although his salary was a bit low. However, he aspired to join the film industry and become an actor. He was passionate about acting and had tried multiple times to make a name for himself in the industry. He used to spend time around various directors and producers whenever he was free. He even managed to get some small roles in Marathi movies and a few serious films, but he never landed a big role. Despite this, his life was going well. Eventually, he got married to Sudha, and everything seemed to be going smoothly. Then Aniket shared that he didn't know what exactly happened, but conflict started arising between Onkar and Sudha. When the police asked why they were fighting, Aniket responded that he had no idea about the reasons behind their arguments. This led the police to consider the timeline. They had found Onkar's body on April 28th, but he had gone missing on April 27th. So they needed to investigate everything that had happened on April 27th. The police then called Sudha for questioning. Before speaking to her and others, they had already traced their mobile locations for that day to check where each of them had been. Everyone seemed to be in their usual locations. When questioned, Sudha said that on April 27th, she and Onkar had planned to travel together to Navi Mumbai. They left together, but midway, Omkar sent her back saying he had some work and needed to meet a producer. When the police asked who this producer was, she revealed that he was actually a relative, her maternal uncle named Nahushi Kumar, who was a film producer. She was told that Nahushi Kumar had made several small Bhojpuri and Marathi films, the husband of Onkar's wife's maternal aunt. Then Sudha said that on that day they had left together for Navi Mumbai, but he sent her back. She returned from the station itself and had no idea where he went after that. When the police asked why she hadn't filed a missing report earlier, Sudha replied that she didn't know he wouldn't return that day. She thought he was just going to meet a producer in Navi Mumbai. So she hadn't filed any report immediately, but when he didn't return even the next day, she filed a missing person report. The police checked the station where Sudha claimed to have reported the case and confirmed that a missing complaint for Onkar had indeed been registered. When an officer read the missing report and saw Onkar's photograph, they noticed that the picture looked 8 years old. In that photo, he appeared to be an 19-year-old boy, whereas his actual age at the time of disappearance was 25. The photo made him look much younger, with a slimmer face and childlike features, and even his hairstyle was different. The police remarked that usually when someone goes missing, their latest photograph is used to make identification easier. But since this was an old photo, finding him would be more difficult. When the police questioned Sudha about this, they asked whether she had personally filed the report. She confirmed that she had. They then asked if she had provided the photograph, to which she also said yes. Then the police said, "You don't have any new pictures of Onkar." To this, Sudha showed her phone and replied, "No, I have plenty of his pictures." The police then questioned, "If you have so many recent pictures of him, why did you provide a 7 to 8-year-old picture for the report and the missing persons poster?" Hearing this, Sudha became nervous and admitted, "I deliberately gave that old picture because I didn't want him to come back." The police were shocked by her response. A wife saying she didn't want her missing husband to return while everyone was searching for him was alarming. Meanwhile, Aniket kept insisting that his brother and sister-in-law used to fight frequently. Now, the police were confused about whom to believe. Domestic disputes between husbands and wives are common, but there was no concrete evidence suggesting Sudha wanted to kill her husband. No one had come forward to claim she had such intentions. So, the police tracked Sudha's movements from April 27th for the next 20 days, where she went, with whom, and from where she returned. However, they found nothing suspicious to directly accuse Sudha of murder. Yet, somewhere in their minds, doubt remained. Was Sudha the killer? Had she murdered her husband? The police lacked solid evidence because marital quarrels alone weren't enough to prove a motive for murder. With no strong leads, they decided to restart the investigation from scratch. If Suda hadn't committed the murder, could it be a family member, a relative, or a close friend who had him killed? The police questioned Aniket again, but he kept repeating that his brother and sister-in-law used to fight a lot. And it seemed like Suda was hiding something. The police interrogated her and said, "You deliberately provided an old photo of your husband. You intentionally did not file his report and did not make a proper effort to find him. That means you are the murderer." Hearing this, Suda responded, "Yes, I knowingly gave an old picture, but I did not commit the murder." However, the police insisted, "No, you are hiding something. You don't want to tell us the truth. Now, speak up. What is the matter?" Then she narrated a story. She said, "My maternal aunt's husband is a film producer. I met this producer some time ago. Onkar had always wanted to work in the film industry, and he was completely focused on that goal. So I thought, why not become a model myself? I decided to enter the film and modeling industry. I had already prepared my portfolio and had my photos taken. Some of my relatives encouraged me, saying, 'Why don't you try your luck in the industry? Maybe you could become a hit.' But Onkar questioned, 'I never got a chance. So how did you get one?' Meanwhile, Onkar continued working hard and networking with producers and directors. On the other hand, I also started dreaming of becoming an actress, of gaining recognition, having fans, and making a name for myself. As we both got involved in the industry, I met my uncle more often. Our relationship was not very close initially, but we were distantly related through my maternal aunt. However, since we were of slightly different age and came from similar backgrounds, we started liking each other. Eventually, we fell in love. Whenever we got the chance, Nahosh and I secretly met each other. Meanwhile, Onkar was busy advancing his career, meeting different people and securing opportunities. But one day, Onkar found out that his wife and her uncle were secretly meeting at different places without telling anyone where they were going or what they were doing. Later, when he got more information from people, he became completely sure that there was something between his wife and that producer. They had some kind of relationship. Once he found out, he would fight with him, herself a lot, and question her, but Suda always denied it. Meanwhile, he got to know a few more things, and producer was also informed. Then Suda said to producer that they will never meet again. On the other hand, the producer realized that Suda's husband had now discovered the truth. He feared that if Suda stopped meeting him, what would he do? Then he came up with a conspiracy. He thought, why not just get rid of Suda's husband so that no one comes between us? However, he didn't tell Suda about this plan. He kept it a secret because he knew that if he told Suda, she would refuse. So, on April 27th, when Suda and Onkar were together, the producer called Onkar and said, "I have a new project. I'm making a new film, and I want to offer you a role." At this point, Onkar had not yet confronted the producer about what he had discovered, that his wife and the producer were having an affair. However, after going there, certain things happened that made Onkar lose control. He confronted the producer and said, "What you're doing is not right. Stay away from my wife or else I will tell Aunt everything." Hearing this, the producer panicked. He was afraid that Onkar might actually tell his wife the truth. So he immediately reassured him, saying, "No, I won't do this anymore." Onkar then said, "Good, that's exactly what I came to talk about. I don't want to work with you in any film, play, or anything else. Our relationship ends here. We will not meet again." The producer then responded, "All right, no problem. If you don't want to work in my film, that's fine. But at least come with me to check out the location I have chosen for the shoot." Saying this, he got into his car, took his bodyguards along, and made Onkar sit in the car as well. Then he takes him to a spot near the dam. It was evening, and there was no one around. The producer signals his driver, who stops the car at that location. The producer step out in Onkar 2. Then the producer takes out his gun and fires 2 shots at Onkar, but the bullets do not hit him. Onkar is completely shocked, wondering why he is being shot at, when the producer notices that the bullets have been fired but there is no blood. He realizes that the bullets are fake. The producer's bodyguard, who was standing behind him, then producer take gun from him and then shoots Onkar in the head with real bullets, killing him instantly. What had happened was that the producer was from the film industry, where fake bullets and props were commonly used on film sets. He was in the habit of carrying a fake pistol with him. While his bodyguards had real weapons, he always carried a fake one to maintain his image of being armed and wealthy. That day, however, he was so furious and blinded by rage that he forgot he was carrying a fake gun. When he realized his mistake, he took a pistol from his bodyguard and shot Onkar. After Onkar was confirmed dead, he fired 2 shots from his fake pistol and left the empty casings behind at the scene, thinking it wouldn't matter. Later, when the police investigated the entire incident, they arrested the producer and both of his bodyguards. Although the bodyguards did not fire the first shots, the police claimed they were part of the plan. So, this was today's story. Thank you for joining us on this journey today. We hope you enjoyed the content and found it valuable.